Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started in just a second's time. I need to check if Stuart has joined because he emailed me yesterday or this morning actually to say he couldn't join last week. So hopefully he's in. But whilst I do that, before we get started, it'd be great actually if you could just in the chat or the Q&A, whichever one's easiest for you to use, just put in who you are, what club you're with, maybe the role that you do as well, just so that we know who you are and we can hopefully have better conversations, especially if you're from the northwest, you probably understand me a little bit better, or the northeast, you probably understand Claire a bit better. From the south, good luck to you all. We are very much northern based, but if you can, in the chat, just chuck in at least the club that you're with and maybe the role that you hold. That'd be fabulous. Thank you. Cool. I've had the thumbs up. So what we're going to do, I'm going to share my screen. And I will say, just bear with me for the time being, my hay fever is going wild right now. So if I sneeze a million times, I apologize. I can't do anything about it. So let's get this started. Perfect. Cool. Let's get it started then. So if you have only just joined and you haven't heard it already, if you could, if you don't mind, just put your who you are, which club you're with, and maybe the role that you hold within your club. That'd be fabulous, just so that we know who we are talking to. It's always helpful that way. But firstly, welcome everybody to tonight's session. This is very much about safeguarding in our digital systems and how to monitor and to initiate and monitor DBSs. There we go. So tonight we will be done by 7:30. That is a hard and fast rule. We know that your time is precious. We will not go past that. If there are any questions that we can't cover in that time, we will come back to you. So please don't think that we are ignoring you. We will answer all questions that we possibly can. If you have any questions, you've got the chat and you also have the Q&A. We will monitor both. So if whichever one's easier for you to use, please do ask your questions away and we'll come back to you as quickly as we can during the session. If you find out that we like your comment, that means we are going to respond to it. So please do bear with us. It's not that we agree or disagree or anything else. It's just a way for us to monitor who's responding to different conversations. So don't think it's anything different than just a procedural thing from our part. And finally, is the recording of this session will be online tomorrow morning, and it'll be on our YouTube channel. I will show you where that is and how to find that if you don't know already. Just at the back end of this session. But please be aware that this is being recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. In terms of tonight's presenters, you've got Claire Davidson, who's our digital customer services manager, and Claire will do the majority, if not all, of the demos tonight. So the majority of the speaking, so you won't have to cope with my tone or at least speed of my voice. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I've got this little tiny fan here because I'm absolutely boiling and I'm not used to the heat up north. So please do bear with me as we go. But my name's Sam. I'm the digital engagement lead in Grassroots as well, and I'll be kind of helping in the chat and hosting a little bits of this session tonight. So in terms of the session tonight, we do have, and actually before I do this, I believe, and I'm going to guess we've got a few county FA designated safeguarding officers in the chat, and it's really important just to call out that Claire and I are not safeguarding experts. Claire is very much a technical expert, and I talk for a living. So we will answer what we know when we know it, but we will not try and even commit to answering like safeguarding questions that we don't know. What we will do though, and we will commit to this, is we will take any questions that we can't answer back to our safeguarding team here, and we'll try and get back to you via our knowledge base, which is again we'll signpost to at the end of this session. But as I say, there are some DSOs signed up to this session who will know far more about safeguarding than us, so you can trust them if they are responding. But again, if there's stuff in there that we can't answer, so just for example, things like eligibility criteria and portability of DBSs, that is not in our knowledge remit, if you will. So please do bear with us. We are very much, or Claire's very much a technical expert, and we'll answer what we can. Anything we can't, we will come back with. But in terms of tonight, we're going to go through keeping up to date with data and why that's important, how to monitor officials in Club Portal, how to initiate a DBS in Club Portal and My Account, because you can do it in two places, depending on your role. We've got several points for questions here, so you can ask them in the chat at any time. We will go through and try and answer them, but also we will try and answer them in these designated spaces, just so that the recording can hear them and see them. And hear the answers that you've asked, because no question is a stupid question. So please do ask any question you can think of. Then we're going to go to our DBS provider, which is First Advantage's platform of Know Your People. And Claire will demonstrate this to the best of her ability. Now, you have to bear in mind that any of these systems, especially Know Your People, has incredibly sensitive personal data. So what we can demo and what we can show you is very little really, but we can at least give you a feel for how it works, what you should be seeing. And then if that's not what you're seeing, we can signpost you to what you can do and where you can get further help. And again, more questions with further support and guidance to finish off the session. So we're going to start in like kind of a chronological order really, and we'll start with Club Portal. So we'll start with basically keeping your data up to date and why it's important. So firstly, every manager, team manager, assistant manager, etc., that you add to your teams has access, access to your team data, or at least their team's data that you've assigned them to. So if they're across maybe 6 teams, they will have access to all 6 teams in maybe match day and also in the Club Portal as well. Just really important that you as club administrators, that you really do closely monitor who is assigned to a team at any one time, because it gives them access to all the player data within that team. So the first thing that it's really important that if you can, throughout the season, just keep dropping in, just double checking who's assigned to what team, who has access to this player data, and do they need it. Bear in mind as well that we need to know who is actually assigned to that team, i.e. who is having contact time with that team, especially in the youth space. And the way we check that is all of our county FAs, and every single one will do this, but they will go out and they will do what we call safeguarding visits. Now, they're not things to come and check you out, they're not things to try and catch you out. Basically, what they are is the county FA will come out and talk to you about safeguarding whilst also checking your data while they are there. So it's a two-way thing, kind of, where you can talk about your development plans, you can talk about maybe your safeguarding, or you're listening to the voice of a child, etc. But it's also then just double checking that the people who are assigned to teams are the people who are actually on the touchline. And obviously that's very important from a safeguarding perspective, especially in the youth space. So again, it's really important that you keep your team, like officials' data, as up to date as you possibly can. Again, we know you're volunteers. We don't expect you to be in there hour by hour, keeping this live check. But the more up to date and accurate you can keep it, the better it is for everybody. But finally, from a safeguarding perspective, like purely, like every single team manager and every team official that you assign to a team is then visible to you as a club, and you can monitor that their DBS, their safeguarding status, their player welfare course in the open age space is all in date. And it also means that, especially in the open age space, when you have youth players, so 16, 17-year-olds playing adult football, we can again put measures in place to ensure that those players are adequately safeguarded and that the coaches and officials assigned to that team are also then in date and up to date with their safeguarding. So it's really, really important from any level of a club to keep your data up to date, but especially from a safeguarding angle, and especially as everyone on the call here now is coming from this angle right now, we can influence other people within the club to ensure that this data is kept up to date. One, so that we safeguard our children and vulnerable adults, but also just for the sake of the game, that this is up to date. So that's where I'm going to pause for now, and I'm going to hand over to Claire now, who's going to talk you, or at least show you through how to monitor officials and how to initiate DBSs within the club portal and My Account.
Thank you very much, Sam. I wasn't expecting that to turn up so quickly, so let me just share my screen now. I was too busy looking to see where Dave Simpson was from, because I seen he put in the chat that he was from County Durham. I'm just down the road into Sedgefield, Dave. That's why I'm being nosy. So, okay, apologies for that, but hopefully everybody will be able to get into the club portal. So you get into the club portal using your email address from your fan, as well as your password. So once you've done that, you'll go into whichever club that you want to look at. If you've got more than one club, you'll have a little drop down button here, and it'll show you all the clubs that you've got access to. But for the purposes of this, Sam's already mentioned, from a data protection perspective, obviously we can't use live data, so I'm using a test club here. We mentioned officials and how important it is to try and keep this information up to date. So within Club Portal, you have your officials tab. If you want to remove an official, it's as simple as, I've got a list of officials here. You can do a search for an official. Once you've found them, you can delete. It does bring up a warning on here, so the action can't be reversed. If you remove them by accident, you're going to need to search for them again, and you'll have to add them. But it's a simple case of remove, and that person has been removed from the records, that official. You might need to add an official or add a new club officer or team manager, team coach, etc. You've got the add official button over here, so you can either search for them by the name or search using their fan information. So for me, I'll just search for my records. I happen to know my fan. Put my date of birth in. I don't need to put it in full with, forward slash. I can just type it in 041172, click out, and it'll format that correctly for me. Search for the record, and I can simply add myself or add a person to the club. It will ask you what role that they are doing. So, you can search for various roles, whether the club roles. You've also got team roles here. So you can add yourself or anybody to the records. I'll just put myself on as a club officer. I can go and add another official. I can create an official. So I've got this option here. You always must search for an official using the name and using the fan. However, if they're brand new to football, you may need to create an official. So let's just example. You must put an email address in there. And a postcode. So now that all the mandatory information's been put in, I can go and create that official. And again, it will ask me what role that I want to put them in. This time, I'm going to give them a safeguarding role. And under here, you can see we've got the option to put them in as a DBS applicant. Now, if I tick this, it'll tell us an email is going to be sent to the DBS applicant to start the process. and it just confirms that email address. It's just a double check to make sure that you've got that information correct. Once I'm happy with that, I can just click confirm, and an email address will go to that player. If I now go to my all officials, if I look for me first, I can see that I've now been added in here. And if I look for my FADV example, I can see that they have been added in as an applicant. And if I click on here, hopefully I've left it enough time. It tells me here. So if I go back one step, so I've got my FADV example that I've just created. I click on them, anywhere within that line should do. Under the Safeguarding and Qualification tab, I can see here, and this is where I can monitor, a new DBS application has been started, and it's shown the DBS status as application initiated. So that's how you would look on an individual basis. If I just go back there, I'll get rid of my search functionality. On here, I've got my all officials, so it just gives you every single official listed within your club and team. You've got key officials here, so your secretary, chair, treasurer, and welfare officers, whether they be, youth, adult, or adult disability. Now, your key officials, you cannot delete a key official. You have to actually update it and swap people in and out. So if I want to swap Hannah Baker, I can see here, I can only change her to either Liam or change her to myself because we are the only ones that have got the correct qualifications. You can't change it to anybody who doesn't have the right qualifications in there, but you can see it's quite easily, they're written in bold and you can see who you want to change them to, but you can't delete a key official. You can just swap them over, and if that person, if Hannah's left the club, once they're within the all officials tab, I can just remove them from my club altogether. What I actually wanted to show you was the Safeguarding Qualifications tab, because this will give you a list of every single one of your qualifications within your club. So whether you're a club or team official, and you can see here, you can export the information. We've got some really, really useful filters in here. So you can see anybody who's requiring action. So if I just click that, tells us this person hasn't got a welfare course, therefore they've been suspended from the role as team coach. Various information. It tells me here that this person's, Hannah's DBS, is expiring on the 3rd of July. So we could maybe just give Hannah a nudge to say, you do know your DBS is expiring, make sure it's in place before the start of the season. So really useful filter there. But what I wanted to show you was the Start DBS button itself. So if you've got somebody who wants brand new to the club, let's just say, I don't know, let me just go back to my all officials. Who can we add a DBS to? Let's use test. So I can go into Start DBS. It gives me a list again of all 135 officials and asks me who I want to start for. If it could be somebody near the bottom of the list, I can do a search for me official, or I can just select them from here. It tells me I can initiate a DBS application for this person, and they will get an email advising that we've done so. So if I click on confirm, and I give it a couple of minutes, I can just go in and check, and he will show as application initiated. So I'm going to pause there, Sam, because I've seen a few things going into the chat. Before I do, what I want to quickly show you is my account. We talked about initiating a DBS in the club portal, but you can also initiate your own DBS within my account. So my account, myaccount.thefa.com. Again, I log in using exactly the same email address and the same password as I do with my club portal. But in here, I've got a safeguarding tab. I click on safeguarding. Now, I've got a button here that says Start DBS. It is as simple as clicking on Start DBS. However, a couple of caveats to this. You can only start a DBS within my account if you've already got an account within KYP or Know Your People. Now, I will show you Know Your People in the next demo, but it's literally a case of Start DBS. It'll tell us an email will be sent. All I need to do is click on Confirm. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to start myself a DBS. But so let's say you've done a DBS last year. It was completed with one club. You've moved to a new club this season. You've done it through KYP last season, moved to a new club this season. They want you to start a brand new DBS because obviously the information's 12 months old. You can literally just go into the safeguarding tab in my account and start a DBS. And the club doesn't actually need to get involved at all. Hopefully that was clear, Sam, or if there's anything else that I need to demonstrate within the portal, just let us know.
So there's been some good questions in. I've tried to answer a few, but we've got some more coming in. So the first one is probably less safeguarding and more data related, but
yeah.
Rachel gets the message often where email address already exists when trying to search for a record for somebody. Have you any ideas of how best to resolve this?
My recommendation would be to speak to your county FA. We've got search functionality where we can go in and search on the email address and it'll tell us exactly which fans that they're relating to. We're doing a lot of work, loads of work to try and clean up data, but you know, bad data, as it does everywhere, gets in everywhere. It's sometimes it's a case of like parents have added it to their child account as well. We're trying to stop it. We're trying to have one email address for every person. But there is some legacy bad data in there. So speak to your county FA.
Perfect. And the next one's from Jim, which is, are we able to add officials or coaches who are also attached to professional clubs yet? They don't seem to come up on searches despite knowing their fans, etc.
They don't. You're right, 100% right. This is something, again, that your county FA can do for you. They can search and add officials from pro clubs. We've had a few problems with them in the past, and you can imagine what it's like, whether it's officials or whether it's players. You've got people adding Harry Kane to the under-9 Spitfires, or you know, Pep in as a welfare officer to the local club. So we had to put a blocker on somewhere, but your county FA can do it. Hopefully we'll come up with some kind of better solution in the future when it comes to pro players, but either take it into grassroots service desk, which Sam will show you later, or county FA.
Perfect. Right. I don't know if you're going to hear me now properly because my laptop seems to have died. So I don't know what you can or can't see. But the next question was from Victoria around how far ahead would you initiate a renewal DBS if it was expiring, which may align with our notifications that go out from the systems automatically?
Our notifications, God, you're going to kill us if I get this wrong. Go out with pretty much 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. So probably 3 months. DBSs are going through a lot quicker now. So it's not the end of the world if you don't get your DBS initiated until, you know, a month before. But you will get reminders from our system.
Perfect. And finally, from Jenny, and I'll try and answer this myself, but I can't fully answer it. So the question is, would volunteers who regularly help in our cafe need a DBS? Now, I'm going to come on to this in just a second in terms of eligibility and the criteria for eligibility. Now, I don't know it ins and outs. I know I can signpost you to it, which I'll do in just a second, Jenny. But that's not probably us for the best place to answer this. But I'll signpost you to an answer. And if you don't know, still after what we've signposted to, your county FA will definitely help you with this question with the local expertise that they've got, if that's okay. Claire, my laptop won't let me share a slide deck anymore.
Oh.
Any chance you can?
Yeah, best open it. Yeah, bear with.
The often I won't let me mute or do anything else. So see what happens here.
I believe I should be sharing it for you, mate.
Yeah, if you could just put it on full screen, that'd be fabulous. And then go to the
It's trying. Hang on.
It's the heat is killing us all.
Heat. We've got light rain here. It's warm, but we've got light rain.
Got sun in the northwest for a change. Anyway, cool. So we spoke about DBSs, and I'm just going to have a quick background of how this works in our systems and a bit background of how it's worked in football before we hand back to Claire to show you how it works in our providers world, which is our providers First Advantage, and their system is Know Your People. But a bit of a background around DBSs. So they started in 2004. And they were then called CRB checks. So you might still hear them as CRB checks, but they've the technical term now is more DBS, which is the Disclosure and Barring Service. For those who don't know, I think the CRB was Criminal Record Bureau, but I will be massively correct on that if anyone knows. But the FA initially monitored compliance around referees and youth officials, and it was built into the affiliation process of Whole Game System. So Whole Game System was our legacy system, so the one before the club portal, and it was around for I think 8 to 10 years in total, and that did the monitoring, but it only would monitor really through the affiliation process. So if somebody was unaffiliated, didn't have a DBS or an accepted DBS within the season, nobody would really ever know. And then towards the back end of Whole Game System's life, there was an enhancement added where you as a club and the county FA in their back end of the system could monitor almost pretty much daily of the compliance within clubs. So over time, the Premier League and the EFL, the Premier League and the EFL mirrored our regulations. So obviously, it kind of makes sense. We are all one of the same in terms of football. And then the legislation changed in 2012 to change it from CRB to DBS. And then the biggest change throughout this then has been since 2024 and the 25 season, we've now switched it. So if you're an adult club or an open age team, but you have 16 or 17-year-old players within it, you'll now have to undertake a DBS check, which it kind of makes sense if you take a step back and think about it all. It was a bit of an inconvenience for many people who'd been coaching the open age game for a while and maybe had youth players, but none of their coaches had any safeguarding checks in place, really, because in the past, we never really needed it. But obviously, under 18 players within the adult game still need safeguarding as well. So that was mandated then. So the FA's safeguarding regulations, this is verbatim, so bear with me for reading off a screen. I hate doing it, but I will do because it is as it is, and I can't really ad-lib this. But all those working in regulated activity with the under 18s must meet the relevant frequency/supervision requirements are required to hold an FA accepted enhanced DBS check with a check of the children's barred list. So that's how it currently reads within our regulation. And if you are under any misunderstanding of what that might mean to you, please reach out to your county FA designated safeguarding officer. They will be more than happy to work this through with you. So in terms of a DBS, and after what just mentioned, the roles that will require and meet that frequency, the ones that are obvious are the coaches and managers. So if you're there 2 or 3 times a week with the same players, you definitely meet the frequency requirements. Medics and first aiders, especially in the open age game, they will fit. But there's a link there, and we will share this slide deck onto our knowledge base. But it is also there already. And again, I'll signpost you to that at the back end of the session. But in the safer recruitment and eligibility checks document that we have, it will explain exactly what it is. But just to reaffirm, not all roles are eligible. So Jenny, who asked, I think it was about the cafe, there's some eligibility criteria that they have to meet in terms of frequency of meeting under 18 in their role. So again, we'll post that in the chat, or we'll post that on our knowledge base after this session, and we'll also link it out in the recording of this session, so you can click through to it and view that eligibility criteria. If you move me on, Claire, perfect, thank you. So that's a bit of background and eligibility for who needs a DBS. Now, this is how it kind of works. So I'm going to explain it at a high level, and then Claire's going to take you through much more of a demonstrative, or at least a demo of how this works in practice. But basically, as Claire mentioned earlier, you can start or kick off a DBS within or DBS check within the club portal, within the safeguarding and in the officials tab. You can start that, or you can have them as a DBS applicant. Or the bit of a nuance here is if a coach who has already done a DBS check through our systems, so basically from this time last year, they will be able to initiate their own should they need to. You might think, well, why is that appropriate? That could be a case of I was coaching at, for instance, Clitheroe, where I now live, and I now want to go and coach at Chapman Football Club, which is the village just down the road. If the new club said, I want you to have a DBS through us, and you're thinking, well, I don't need one, but I want to do one anyway, you can go into my account, as Claire demonstrated, and initiate your own DBS and get a brand new one. Bear in mind, they last for 3 years, and your football one pretty much, especially through us in grassroots football, will cover you for all your grassroots football content. But some people do like to just be safe and obviously do it again, which is no problem. Once you've initiated, you get the coach or the volunteer will get an email, and in that email, give them a link to what we refer to as KYP or Know Your People. Once you're in KYP or Know Your People, you'll then be asked to do a couple of checks, which we'll come on to in a second. But basically, it's to upload your ID documents, to confirm your details, and then submit that through. Now, all being well and good, that will require no human intervention. It will all be done by AI and its specific checks. And then if that all goes through perfectly fine, you then go through, they will go through to the payment phase, unless the county FA have pushed them through as that the county FA will cover it, which is a bit rarer, to be honest, but that could be a case. But once you've done that, that is your check complete. And then that will then rest with First Advantage and the DBS disclosure borrowing service to go on through and complete the DBS check. Now, throughout that whole process, you as a club admin, will be able to monitor the status of all these checks through Club Portal. Now, historically, in the old system and whole game system, you could not keep tracks of the DBS through the FA portals. You'd have to log into a different system, go and check it, and then refer it back to what you're seeing in your whole game. In the modern world, in Club Portal and Know Your People, they mirror each other. So you don't have to log into a separate system to see where a check is up to. But if you want to go and check in Know Your People, you as club admins also have access to it. When you are added into role, you are automatically enrolled into Know Your People. There will be an email like login invite that's automatically triggered, which will come within 24 hours. So keep an eye out for that. And it's just basically set up your account, and then you can see all the checks that are relevant to your club. Then finally, once that's done and dusted, it will then go through to Club Portal, and it reflects not just Club Portal, but all of our portals. So Club Portal, my account, the competition portal for the leagues checking, and the county portal for county affairs. They are basically the same system. You just have a different lens into different bits of data. So don't think we're trying to build like a monopoly board of different databases and different systems here. They're all the same system. You're just giving your own view of it through those specific systems. So that's how it works, really. Starting in the club portal from a club perspective, goes to the individual to complete the checks through Know Your People, and finishes with you back in club portal. The only nuance with all this, or the additional nuance with all this, is if you fail or if the applicant fails their digital ID check, and again, I'll come on to that in a second, that will require a manual verification. So like it was in the past, we had to meet somebody, show them your documents, they would then input them into a separate system, and then that would be submitted through. That is the case here if you fail your digital ID check. But we are seeing 2/3 of coaches go through perfectly fine within the digital ID check. And the perk of that, and it is a big perk really, especially in this affiliation time of year, is that in the past, applications would sit at waiting for verification for about 2 weeks or 14 days. In the current world, with digital ID checks, they are fully completed within 2 days. So we've gone from 14 days for just static weight verification to being from start to finish completed and showing on FAN on average within 2 days. So the time saving here is significant. So it's definitely something you can encourage your coaches, your volunteers to go and do, is to get the digital ID check nailed, so that it takes less volunteer time. You don't have to meet somebody, and it just speeds up that whole process, and it's all automated. So it's not required on any manual intervention to have that data showing in the correct places. But Claire, if you can move me on one more, please. So in terms of where you will go as a club to monitor these checks going through, and also where the applicant will go with their link, is fachecks.knowyourpeople.co.uk. So again, that's First Advantage's site. It's not ours. But that's where you'll complete your check. And Claire, again, if you can move on one more, please. I think this is the top tips kind of thing, or at least the digital ID version of it all. So once the digital verification has started, most people will start it on a laptop or a tablet, which is perfectly fine. Now, the actual verification of ID can be cut out into a tablet or into a mobile device. And what will happen, as you can see in that second screenshot, is a QR code will appear on screen. So you scan that with your mobile device, whether it's tablet or computer, and that will take you into the flow. That doesn't mean you finish the whole thing on your mobile. It will take you back to your laptop afterwards if you started it there. If you started on laptop, you'll just if you started on a mobile device, you'll remain on that throughout. But basically, you'll scan the QR code, and it will take you then through which documents you want to which documents you're using for your check. It'll then ask you to scan them. So it will ask you if you can accept the permissions on your phone. The technology that First Advantage uses called YOTI, YOTI, YOTI. And basically that will scan a passport and a driving license. We have found that they are the kind of the keys to the most successful routes. Now we know that younger people might not have a driving license, or people might have a passport, which is perfectly fine. There are other forms of identification that you can use to scan in, and that will go through perfectly fine. But if you want the highest success rate, if you have a passport and driving license, just use those. With a driving license, it scans both sides, so don't be scared of that. If it asks you to do the back and the front, it's a very much an important legal process. We've got to make sure that the document you're using is not fake. So the way to do that is the front and the back. And then finally, we'll ask you to then verify that basically you go through what's called a liveliness check. So you verify who you are and that you are a living human being. So you can see in that last screenshot there, it will ask you to put your face in the oval, and then ask you to move back and then take a wider shot of your face. And that's what we'll record the liveliness check. Now, if you pass all of those, it'll then take you through to the payment screen, and then the check will be submitted. If any fail, it will then go through to the county FA and to other verifiers and say, this person's failed. Can you help them do their manual verification of their ID documents? In terms of some top tips you can take away from this, and I'm going to post a link into the chat, hopefully, if my laptop decides to work. But I'll take it to a short, it was a YouTube short or a TikTok, whichever one works best for you. But we did a version of this a kind of brief demo in less than 2 minutes of what to do as an applicant. So you don't have to write to them and tell them verbatim. You can just send them a link. Hopefully it will help them. But the top tips we really have are: make sure that when you're taking photos of your ID documents, that they're in good light. Now, they need to be in good light so that your camera can pick them up, and then the technology behind the scenes can then read the content on your ID documents. But please be aware of glare, depending where you are in the world. If your passport, obviously your photo ID is it's a film-based layer on the top, so it can be really reflective, and the same with your driving license. So again, you want a well-lit room, but the glare will block the technology from picking up some certain bits of information if it's that big spot of light when you're trying to scan the document. So just want to consider when you're going through. The second one is, should be first really, is have your ID documents to hand. So this is kind of almost a time-based exercise as well, because again, we're trying to make sure, or they are trying to make sure, that you're a live human being with genuine identification. So before you even start any of this process, have the documents you are going to use to hand. Now, when you go through the process that Claire showed you, even that first screenshot, you can pause at any time up to there. But once you've scanned that QR code and you're in the process, that's when you're in the time-based process. So that's the time to go and grab your ID that you're going to use, have it all ready, and you can start to scan it, upload it. And finally, and I can't say how many checks have failed because of this. It's just basically typos. So just double check the information that you've typed in matches what is on your ID document or is on the ID document of the individual that is trying to complete their verification. So again, and not fully typos as in you've pressed an A instead of an S or a W instead of a Q, but also if my name on my document is Samuel, but I type in Sam, that will not accept because they don't match. So what appears on your ID document is what you need to be inputting when you're going through this process. So that's something really important to consider. So double check, one, the spelling's right, two, there's no typos, but three, you've matched your documents that is your legal name that's going to match, and that will give you the best chance to get through the self ID process, which is the one that saves us all the most time, not just you as volunteers, but also the applicant themselves as well, because they don't have to come and meet you, show you their documents, etc. So that's the digital ID process. I'm now going to hand back to Claire, who's going to demo the best she possibly can. Bear in mind that the system we're about to log into holds a shed load of personal information, and we are very limited in what we can actually show you here.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. And always, we haven't done this for a year, so the best laid plans. We have practiced this, believe it or not, but here goes. Okay, so I am going to show you KYP, or Know Your People, and first of all as a verifier. So if you from the club, in fact, let me just start this. So let's go KYP, so Know Your People. I'm going to log in to the test account. So I log in using my email address and a password. Now, this isn't your password from your fan. This is it because it's a brand new, different system or different company. What it will do, it will send me a code. I'm just going to go onto my account. So I'm given an account to my email address that I've just entered into there, and I can log in to Know Your People. So as default, the people who are set up as verifiers automatically are all of your key officials. So if you are a secretary, chairman, or chairperson, sorry, chair, treasurer, or any of the welfare officers, you will automatically be given verifier access to your club. You can, as a club, if you've got lots of people to check, loads of officials within your club, you can request additional verifiers. You can do that in a couple of ways. You can either contact Know Your People. Again, we'll give out the support email in there. They've got a live chat. They're usually very, very good at answering the live chat, and they'll do something there and then. But you'll just need to make sure you've got the name and the email address of the person that you would like to add as an additional verifier. But by default, chair, secretary, treasurer, welfare officer will all be given access. So when you log in, you'll come to this screen. So you can see you've got quick access, so you can look at your applications or your people, and also my tasks and make payments. So if you as a club have said that you are willing to pay for DBSs for your officials, then you're given that option and you can make payments on their behalf. And Sam mentioned earlier about, if you fail your digital, or if an individual, one of your officials, fails their digital ID check, they've got the option still to bring the documents to yourselves or to the county FA, and you will have any outstanding tasks will show in here under my tasks. Again, this is a test system, and therefore I don't have any tasks in here. However, I can show you manage applications or manage people. So if I just look in manage people, it will show me a list of every single person who has currently got an outstanding DBS within my club. So let's just look for someone. So if I look for FADV, I can see I've got a couple of FADVs within my club, but let's just look at FADV test. Now, you as a the club might get a few queries about this. So I found the person, let's just say they came on to you and said, you've started me DBS application, but I haven't received the email address. So you can just go and search for them. If you click onto them and go under the applications, I can see they've been invited to create an account and they need to do so, but they've never ever logged in. If I go under applications and see this one's to be completed and I select it, so you can see here, it hasn't yet been started. It's awaiting payment, but you do have the option here to resend an activation email. So if I go to the activation email, it'll be sent to the applicant that they created to resend. Just press resend. What that will do is just say that's successfully, and it'll send an email to the applicant again to say, go and create yourself an account. You've got a DBS to start. So that's quite a useful bit of information if somebody's saying to you, well, I've never had the email. The first thing actually is probably the best to check is that you've got the correct email, because we've got so many questions when we first started where people's, they've changed their email address, but it hasn't been updated in the club portal, or the applicant hasn't updated their information in my account, which is what they should be doing. So if they've changed their email address, get them to update it in my account, and then you can restart the DBS application in there. So just back to the dashboard. And again, if I want to look at the applications, it just shows me a list of every single application that I've got outstanding within my club. And it tells me the status. These are all to be completed, which is a bit weak. But again, because it's test data, we can't really start them. But if it's been initiated, if it's at the payment stage, if it's waiting for documents to be verified, the status on here will show updated in there. So again, you can use the search facility in there. If you've got hundreds and hundreds, you can go use the search facility in there and maybe use a surname to try and narrow your results down. But it is, I think once you're into KYP, it's a pretty straightforward process to use. You've only got these few tasks. The main thing that you'll be doing is looking at tasks. So that's that as a verifier. I just wanted to touch on a little bit when Sam was talking about through the process of the applicant. So I'm just going to log out here. Oh God, what? No, never. I'm going to sign out. Return to my login page. I'm going to sign in as an applicant. Let me just copy my temporary email. So if I sign in as an applicant, it will send me a code, and hopefully in here I'll get a login. Oh, you can do it. Computers are generally always much slower when you're sharing your screen. What did I say about the best plans? No, this is not going to have any of it. I'm just going to stop sharing, Sam, for 1 second. So if you can maybe have a look through some of the questions, and then I'll try and get this email information, that would be great.
Yeah, of course, no problem at all. So we had a question from Roger around email notifications that aren't being sent potentially to club administrators and verifiers. So the Know Your People system is set up to notify anyone within the club who's a verifier of an application that requires verification. And me and Claire are probably the people who know the most about this, because we were copied into the whole country's notifications of this. And after 3 days alone, we had over 40,000 emails of people requiring manual verification. So it should be set up. Now, if that's not working for you, can you please reach out to First Advantage, which I will come on to in just a second, but their help site is help.fadv.com/s/DFA. They've got a live chat on there during the day, and you can raise a ticket with them. They also have like a knowledge base on there, so you can research some stuff if you want to do that. But if you raise it with them that you're not receiving the notifications for applicants within your club who have failed their digital ID check and now require manual, please do let them know, and they can return that back on for you. And the other question we had in, Claire, before we go back to you, if you're back ready again, was from Ian, who's recently become a Kent FA county verifier. So he's very much involved in the manual checks. And he asked, once I update the application as good on KYP, do I need to do anything else? And the answer is no, Ian. The system will automatically let the applicant know that the check's been done, it's been verified, it's now with the DBS and First Advantage, and you can just move on to the next one and yeah, hopefully have a nice chilled tea in the evening and enjoy free time.
I know. Yeah, I mean, gosh, it took some getting used to the system, but I think now that it's up and running and all the teething problems have been sorted out, it's so much better and much quicker. So yeah, unless your club's paying for them or anything like that, there's nothing else for you to do. But by the by, so what I'm going to do is I have eventually got in as an applicant. So as team coach, I've had an application initiated. So I've had my email, I've set up my account. I've eventually got my temporary sign-in, and I've used my email address and password, and I've logged into Know Your People. So it looks slightly different as it does for you as a club verifier. So I've gone in as team coach. It shows I've got action required here. I've been asked to complete a DBS, so I can go ahead and complete this application. It shows me here if I've got any completed applications from KYP in the past or any in progress. There's none there. But so in this case, I'm going to complete this application. It gives the applicant a lot of information on here. Obviously, I'm not going to go through it all with you, but need to read through this. It's as simple as clicking on continue. It gives you a statement of fair processing. Again, they do need to make sure that they are agreeing to consent to bulk standard electronic checks, etc., in here. And it talks you through a bit about the biometric data and compliance. I've got my risk assessment and the outcome to agree to here. Click agree, and it's preparing my check. Now, this is pretty much where I can take you up to. This does take a little while to load because there's a lot of information that needs to load in the background there. So confirm your identity check with Yoti. This is, as Sam mentioned, that's the company that does the biometrics. Tells you what personal information. Does tell you in the previous slide that you need to make sure that you've got your documents ready and you've only got 28 days to complete this full process. So click continue. It's telling you what it's going to confirm: photograph of your ID document, your address, and it just does a quick scan of your face. If I continue, and it tells me there, so all I've done, scanned my QR code, logged in, and it's now connected us on the smartphone. Obviously, I can't connect my smartphone on here, and that's pretty much as far as we can take you. But Sam has or is going to post that link in the chat to the video guidance. He's taken you through that slide. All the applicant needs to do then is do exactly, just follow the process. It's a simple enough process. The issues are with it, and it's definitely glare, not glue or whatever it was he said. Definitely glare, and just make sure you've got all your documents. So I'll go back to you again, Sam, see if there's any questions, but I'll stay sharing my screen in case there's anything I need to share again.
Maybe not, but maybe if I think I can share my screen, but if you can repost that, my last comment, and try and make it URL like related, so people should click through to it, not copy and paste it. That'd be fab. Things will work and other things won't. I don't know why, but we've anyway. Just conscious of time as well. I've answered the questions that have been asked so far. So if you've got any further questions, please just chuck them in the chat in the last 4 minutes whilst I cover this. Myself and Claire will try and cover as much as we possibly can. But in terms of further guidance, so for anything DBS related, including notifications, and I've just in the last comment that came in around, you get notification around failed self-verification that requires manual verification. That's perfectly fine, but you don't get the requires payment. If you can raise that with help.fadv.com/s/DFA, on that website, there's a chat function. They are the ones who can set up these notifications for you. So please do just drop them an email. They should be able to set that up. If it's something that we can push as the FA to be like across the board that everyone gets these, we will do that. And I've seen a few people have liked that comment and agreed. So we will raise this with First Advantage as well when we have our catch-ups with them. And we catch up with them weekly, so be next week by this point. But yeah, we'll raise that. But if there's more notifications that you might need, just drop it in the chat. We'll take that back and see what we can do for you. But for anything DBS check related, for anything Know Your People related, and for anything like verification related, that's where you need to go to get them sorted. We have no access to their system. We have no admin rights or anything else. That is purely them. Other than the support videos that I created, nothing else on there is to do with us. It's just purely with First Advantage. So please do use them if for anything DBS related. But if anything Club Portal related or My Account related, or you're seeing things like it's completed in KYP, but it's not yet reflecting in Club Portal, please do let us know. It should be fairly instant. At the most, you should wait a day. So if you can wait a day just to make sure that the things have flowed through from system to system properly, that would be ideal. But if things still aren't showing or things don't look right or someone can't initiate a DBS check, please do raise a ticket with us at grassrootstechnology.thefa.com. You can see on that screenshot on the top right-hand side, there's a submit a ticket button, and you can just put your details in there. Please put as much detail as you can in there, because the more detail that our support team have, the quicker that they can deal with it with our partners at First Advantage. So Claire, I can now not see this Q&A, but I can see my screen. So is there any further questions before this last minute before I wrap this up? There's not.
No, I think we've pretty much covered everything.
Amazing. Thank you so
I'll
much.
best go through the chat in the morning. If there is anything, I'll add it. We'll respond in the chat for you, but I can't see anything else in there. So
perfect. Thank you so much. So finally, before I wrap up, just a signpost really is that the England football family exists. So if you're volunteering football or you know your volunteers across your club, and you want to give them the opportunity to be thanked, because that's what people want to be done for you put in a load of hours of voluntary service. Actually, you should get recognition for that. So we are trying to do that now through the England football family. So if you volunteer at a club, please do sign up to the England football family. You get one email a month from us about this, and that is basically a signposting to things where you can do CPD for thanking volunteers that will come directly from the FA. And also to promote people for things like grassroots awards. So it's definitely something to do. But also what is involved in the England football family is you are rewarded for what you do. So things like pitch days, things at Wembley and at St George's Park for an England legend to come to your club. Whether you define them as a legend is not my problem, but they are England legends in our right, because they've played for the national team. But we will send them to your club. So Paul Merson was recently out at a club down in the West Midlands. We've also had Emil Heskey out recently, and also Martin Keown. So there are plenty and David James as well. I should not omit from this England Legends list, because he was up my way as well whilst he was here. So they are rewards just for volunteering, which you should be rewarded for. So if you haven't volunteered, do just give it a search on Google or whichever your search provider is, England Football Family, englandfootball.com, and we can find it. Please do sign up if you haven't already. But finally, do not miss any updates from us as a tech team. You can find us on pretty much all social medias these days. We are pretty much FA Grassroots Tech or FAGR Tech on everything with TikTok, X or Twitter and Instagram. And we are also Grassroots Tech or Grassroots Technology, depending which one you search. Both will return the same results. On YouTube, our short form content's on there because we know that people want to have shorter form content, but also longer form content is available on our YouTube channel, including guidance for all of our digital products. So if you haven't followed us already, please go and do so. I'm conscious I'm now a minute late, so thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. We hope you found it useful. Again, this recording will be posted to our YouTube channel tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Claire, for your demos. And I'm sure we will see you all, or at least hear from you all across the season. If you've got any problems, please do get in touch. But otherwise, have a lovely season. Enjoy the weather while we have it, if you can, because it is hot. But thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.